Yay, yay, yay. We are live right now. That is so
Yay.
awesome. Yay. And I think we'll have comments to the right, but I don't know for sure. Yay, yay, yay. I know. Oh, it says private chat. Oh, you put hello, everyone. That was awesome. You did it a minute ago. No, you just did it.
Did I put it in private? Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's all right. Where's the regulars and comments? There we
Gotcha.
go.
Okay,
But
cool.
so for everybody listening, my name is Lisa Wilber. I took a little break. So you know what you do when you take a little break? You just come back and say, "Welcome to season 2." Act like you yeah, act like nothing happened. Just keep going. That see that? So we're on the second season here. Here we go. And this is my special guest and co-author, Jeff West.
Hi,
Well,
everybody.
welcome. The southern gentleman that he is.
Well, we try. So
We try. Hey, I wanted to show you. I broke out the good jewelry just for you. By
I
the
am
way,
impressed. You did that for me?
yes, I did. And you know what this jewelry is called? It has a
I,
real name, but
I do
I
not.
call it the Santa loophole jewelry. You know why it's the Santa loophole jewelry?
No.
Because I realized a few years back that I could buy something spectacular for myself, slap from Santa on it, put it under the tree, and who's going to question it?
Not me. And if you don't believe in Santa, you don't get gifts in my house. So.
There you go. There you go. So this is actually a Betsy Johnson Little Mermaid design necklace from Disney. And at the time, Alex was playing Eric in the Little Mermaid at the Performing Arts Center.
Oh, very
So this,
cool.
yeah, and I get into everything he's doing because you just do. You get swept in. You
That's a
must
good.
have had that too with your girls.
I thought, well, absolutely. I've been to more dance recitals and orchestra concerts than a lot of people. Of course, my background was in music anyway. But in honor of today, I came very close. I mean, I really considered actually dyeing my hair blue just for the interview today. But then I thought, no, I'm just going to put on the blue shirt. It's easier.
I wanted to let you off the hook a little. You do realize they have temporary hair dye, right?
I do. I do.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm just
I
hoping I
didn't.
don't have temporary hair.
Well, let's not go there. Yeah, everybody in my family's, yeah, they're not known for their hair, right?
No.
So, yeah, even my poor mother's got like 4 hair. I don't even think you can put an S on the end when there's only 4. Yeah, right? It's
I
yeah.
have no idea.
Right. Yeah, and my brother, he's bald. He's not balding. He's bald.
I understand.
So my hope is not in my hairdo, right? You
They
know
say,
though,
go ahead.
if it gets really, really thin, I'm thinking like wild shocking wigs.
That
You
would
know,
work.
like pink bob one day and long blue the next day or something. I think that would work for me.
Well, I've always heard that a man will get his hair basically from his mother's father. And in my
Hmm.
case, that seemed to work pretty well. Because, I mean, my granddad, he didn't live as long as I have, but he had just this white hair, thick, even thicker than mine. But it doesn't look like mine's going to let go. It's just going to go gray.
Oh, don't see that's but men can do that and it's distinguished. See,
Yeah.
and I'm sticking to my denial. I
I see everybody making comments, and I do not know how to multitask, but everyone who's saying hello, hello back.
Well, Cynthia's show. Matter of fact, I brought the magic mirror back from season 0 back when
Right.
I used to do Monday Morning Madness, just myself sitting here talking for an hour, which I got sick of that personally. But back then, I did the magic mirror. So here it is, the magic mirror. Somebody made this for me. Isn't that awesome? I should have wrote their name on it because I don't remember who it was, but it is spectacular. So hello, Cynthia, and everybody else. Oh, and Elizabeth, I see you there. Everybody else has to agree to StreamYard's terms. Look at the little disclaimer and it'll let you agree. That way we can see your names. So, but yay. So, yes. Besides the Santa loophole jewelry, I did want to mention Peg and a bunch of other people that haven't known me very long asked me why the show is called Morning Madness, even though it starts at 1. And I just wanted to make sure everybody really understood that there's a whole bunch of stuff about me that doesn't make sense. This is just one little thing. You don't want to sort all that out. If you're on for the ride, just enjoy the ride.
Well, when my oldest daughter was young, she always said she preferred to wake up at the crack of noon if she could.
Yeah.
And so that would be morning for her.
Yeah, see, and it is morning on the West Coast sometimes.
That's right.
So, right. With me, you really can't sort that stuff out. You just have to go along for the ride and hope it doesn't get too weird. I think that's the
It's always entertaining.
entertaining. Oh, so let's start off with I realize do you mind if I tell my version of how this all started? And
Go
then
right ahead.
Okay. I've realized lately I've told this story a whole bunch of times because it's so awesome. And then I realized it wasn't from your perspective and yours was different. And I'm like, oh, I think we all do that to a point, get wrapped up in our own perspective and don't realize there's another one. But so I don't know, it was about what, year and a half ago already?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah,
Roughly a year and a half
we
ago.
were on our regular, the Go-Giver Success Alliance. Jeff and I both happen to be in it. And that is that awesome group with Bob Berg. And it's based on the Go-Giver book. If you've interacted with either one of us, chances are you've heard about it probably more than you want to. And we meet with Bob on Wednesdays on a Zoom call. Well, one of the first calls I was on, I happen to have blue hair. And I had blue hair, by the way, because I always wanted to have blue hair once in my life, and that was the once. I know most people think I did it because I was doing a fundraiser at that time, but I actually got the hair blue first. I planned that first, and then backed into the fundraiser so I wouldn't look quite so crazy. That is what I did. So I'm sitting there with all these professionals. You know what I mean? There's big engineers and lawyers and everything with blue hair. And I'm thinking, oh, I just got to say something. So I'll like make a joke of it. So what I said was, if you want to be less judgmental, dye your hair blue. This is working out so good for me. I go down to the grocery store and I see a lady with a tight skirt and I'm thinking, man, that lady's got a tight skirt, said the lady with the blue hair. So, right. And then when you looked in the comments, Jeff had put, that would make the great title for a book. And that's how it started. It was that easy from my perspective. Now you you tell your part.
Well, first off, everything you just said is exactly the way it was. Of course, I guess that was the first time you and I had ever met, because it was like on the very first call that you did that. And I thought right then that is a book title that you should make someday for you. And then as you were telling different things and I got to know you better, I just obviously fell in love with your personality. You're very engaging in how you operate your world. And the funny things you would say over the last year. Well, when I retired from the corporate world at the end of 2013, the first thing I did is I had a book that came out. It was called The Unexpected Tour Guide. Got some great endorsements from people like Bob, and he was a great mentor to me on helping get started. And so there's just been a lot of things that developed. Well, over the last year, I have written other books that are basic how-to type of books since then. But my favorite thing to do is write parables. I get into stories, I create the fiction, and it makes me happy. That's as I like to say, that's my sweet spot for me. I like doing that. And we both have become friends with John David Mann and his wife, Anna Mann. And they had released the Go-Giver Marriage, and it just brought us all closer, quite frankly. It was just such a good thing. And John and I have become friends, as well as Anna. And I was having lunch with John. I think this was actually, the lunch was after he and I had already talked about this. And I said, I want to get more into the parable writing. And in my opinion, John David Mann is the best storyteller in writing today. If you don't follow John David Mann, two N's in Mann, you need to, if you love good fiction. And so he writes parables, but he's had two awesome murder mysteries that he's written in the last 2 years. And he's got a third one coming out probably in the middle of 2023. But I was talking to him about that, and I talked to Bob about their business model. And it was basically Bob had some great how-to principles in the book Endless Referrals, a book, quite frankly, in my sales career that changed my career direction. And John turned that into the parable. The two, they collaborated and they turned endless referrals into the parable, The Go-Giver. And so it was a good business model that I liked. And John and I talked a bit and about what to look for and all that. So then I began to reach out to people I had a lot of respect for. You were actually one of the very first people I reached out to. Actually, you were the first that I reached out to. There's a couple other friends that you and I know that I've reached out to as well. But I reached out to you. I guess it was back, I can't remember exactly what month we started. It wasn't too long ago. It was probably the spring, late spring, something like that. But I reached out to you and I said, hey, would you like to do a book together here? And I told you what the ideas that I had were. And you said yes. And this is the best relationship we've ever had for both of us. I'm kidding.
You're not wrong.
But for those of you that are listening behind the scenes, before we got on, I said, tell everybody we met on www.ineedanauthorcohorts.com.
Oh yeah. You're like the best work husband I've ever had. Work husband.
Being hundreds of miles away is probably a key there for both of us.
No, that is so true. Yeah. So now when you came to me, how this all got going is on the Go-Giver 2, they kind of bust me about having Wilberisms. And believe it or not, they do that in my regular life too, because I'm bad about, if I want something to happen, I'll call it a rule. You know what I mean? Or I'll talk about the rules like I didn't make them up. I just, and that I started doing that with the kid. Because the kid would say, why can't I go on the ride for the 80th time? And I'll be, oh, I'm sorry, there's a rule about that. Right. Nothing I can do. There's a rule. So when you said to me, come up with some rules, it was easy because not only did I just go through the slides from my presentations, but I went through the things that I talk about all the time, and we boiled it down to the 7.
Right.
So,
and I think that's one of the things, Lisa, that makes the book so good. And I hope to the audience, this doesn't sound like I'm being braggadocious or prideful about us, because that's not my intent. This book is really good. And it's good for a number of reasons. I feel like the fiction's strong, but I think the things that you narrowed down, what you teach, and you narrowed it down to those principles, those are rules and principles that anybody, if they're in direct sales or multi-level marketing, or if they are just in an independent sales rep thing, like when I was in the insurance industry, I didn't work for somebody else. I worked for me. These principles that you teach are the exact right principles for people to go be successful with. So I think we've wrapped it pretty entertainingly, but it's your strong principles and rules that made it work. So
I'm laughing because I'm still excited about learning a new word, because I want to have a T-shirt that says braggadocious. I like
Southern
that.
boy in me. I can't help it.
I like that. Yeah, no. See, from a woman's point of view, you can't brag enough, because guys tell their accomplishments, and women, if we say anything, that's called bragging. So I no longer care if I'm bragging. I'm just going to tell what I'm doing. If people take it as bragging, that's on them, not me, not my fault. No, we were working on the chapters individually, you would write a chapter and send it to me, and then I'd sometimes write back something. We go back and forth, and it's funny because I kept wanting to say, can't you just send me the whole thing? But obviously you haven't written the whole thing. And it was like pulling me along. You know what I mean? But it was hard to believe that it was so good. It was hard to believe that you were writing it as we were going along.
Well, the good thing that we did, and I think John David Mann and Bob Berg would be very proud of how we did this, because John, I learned a lot from John. John's got a book on his website, by the way. Those of you out there, you can go to johndavidmann.com, and he's got a book that you can download for free if you like to write. And the title of the book is awesome. It's How to Write Good, or at least gooder. but some principles that he has taught me and we kind of set an outline. We knew kind of where we were going on the rules. Then we developed a story based on some things that are very important to you and your heart. Because I asked you, what is it you would like to share with people? What is it that you, when you're sitting down with someone brand new, what are you trying to do, and what's in your heart? And you told me some things there. That's what became the story of Kai. And I know that we people tease us a little bit because Belle's life kind of resembles a lot of things that you've told me about your life, and because we write real things into our fictitious people sometimes.
Right.
But it was that we had a good storyline based on that, and I always say that it just what I mentally do when I'm writing parables is so much better than when I'm writing how-to books. Is I can throw myself in the story, I can imagine myself in the situation, and then I just write the dialogue as that would come out. And fortunately, we have a great editor in Jessie Akins, and she helped give some clarity to some of my dialogue on that. But this is my favorite collaboration I've ever done. Now, it's my first, but it's still my favorite collaboration I've ever done.
Oh, so when we, I may have this wrong too, but now we met in person last month. Yeah,
Right.
the almost exactly a month ago.
Right.
You drove down 2 hours each way, which was awesome. And the only reason I get to use my favorite word, don't blush, because it's not a swear. I looked it up, but I got stuck in the Southwest kerfuffle. That's not a swear.
I'll take your word for it.
It's a real word.
Okay.
I got stuck in that, so I wasn't there when I was supposed to be on Saturday. So you switched it, thankfully, to Monday. But I always thought, I bet you he's coming down to make sure this isn't a giant mistake.
Not at all.
And I was happy that a bunch of the representatives were still there, because you were able to see that at least people know who I am.
Well, the truth is, it was such a pleasure to finally get to meet you in person, because you and I know each other because of Zoom. And I know that's something that kind of came out of a bad situation with the COVID stuff and all that. But boy, it has made getting to know each other so much easier across the world. And so there was some good with that. And once I started working with you, I also Googled you. And so I saw all your credibility. Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Did it tickle? No, I'm kidding. But but so for people that are we both have audiences, and it's getting spread around the world. So this is a good thing. People that knew me that didn't know Lisa, she's incredible. She's got so much going on out there, and we put it in. When we put the bio for the book, and I started listing your credibility, I thought, whoa! I said, me by myself down here, me with Lisa up here, by myself with Lisa. But no, I've just been very, very happy with what we've done. And you were talking about how I would reveal a chapter at a time, and those were first drafts too. So some of it changed as we went along.
Oh yeah.
But I will tell you, I was a little bit emotional to let the characters go when I finished, because I fell in love with Kai and Belle. And
well, we all can try. I mean, the Go-Giver had reincarnations.
Well, we very well may.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So when you came in at the hotel, by the way, I was just sitting there hoping that there would be people wanting to have pictures with me, so you could see that. And sure enough, thankfully, Laura and Linda, and remember Linda Monavon, the one that won't say the F word? Her.
Right.
Her and Laura were there taking pictures, and that was fun. But the part that I think I remember the best about our breakfast was finding out about your laugh. Right.
It's just what I got.
This may seem a small thing to you, but and it's not that I want to be a comedian secretly, but when I do my presentations, I do use humor in my presentations, because I think people learn better with that anyway. Absolutely. But anyway, so we're sitting there at the table, and I remember what I made you laugh with the first time. Do you?
I don't remember exactly what you said. I just remember we both were laughing so much that day.
You said that you saw a play with
Hugh Jackman and Daniel Craig.
And I said, I would do Hugh Jackman.
That's right.
Which I didn't. I would have said that no matter who was sitting across from me. See, that's the sad part is me and my friends just say that all the time.
No,
So
I assumed you were talking about you could portray Hugh Jackman in a play. I didn't know what you meant. I'm kidding.
you did not. But, yeah. but because once I heard you laugh like that, though, then I'm sitting here thinking, what can I say to hear that again? So I am throwing everything out, even the most inappropriate overshares. You got it all.
It was a big day.
And then on the plane, I'm thinking to myself, he must be thinking I'm bananas.
No more than I already knew.
Oh. Which evidently is endearing.
It is.
Oh, okay. So let's talk a little bit about, you know what I wanted to say? In the book, I don't want to give too much away.
Sure.
You do talk about Kona coffee.
I do.
Now, I just ordered some coffee from Kauai, which is not Kona coffee.
Right.
Do you know I have enjoyed Kona coffee when I was in Hawaii on various company trips, and it grew hair on my chest. And I guess I just, I mean, I have been able to, let's see, shoot tequila with my friends. Oh, can I tell you that quick? That is a bad story, but we were in Hawaii, so it's kind of appropriate.
Right.
On a company trip, we had this wild thing that we were doing for a few years when we were younger and stupider, that when one of our colleagues passed away, on the company annual trip, we were going to do a shot of tequila in their memory.
Right.
As we got older, there came the one trip when there were 8. Right. That was the last year we did that.
My number 8, you're going, hi, miss, who are we talking about?
Yeah, that ended badly. And you know what? I can do that, but the Kona coffee was so strong.
Well,
now you must like your coffee strong.
Well, I do. Like when I would go to Starbucks or whatever, I would get their stronger coffees. But I also, I tone it down. I put cream in mine, and I don't use the half and half. I use heavy whipping cream.
Yeah.
And you know, in a cup of coffee like the size what you have there, I'll put this much heavy cream in the bottom of it. But if on the Kona, if it's too strong, you just take a little bit less in the beans when you grind it. I grind my own beans.
No, I'm a K-cup girl. Come on now.
Okay, that might be a little tougher.
Do I look like I'd be grinding my own beans?
I'm just leaving that one alone.
Right. But, yeah, that did sound bad, didn't it?
But I do love Kona coffee, and if you like a stronger coffee, it's so good and so rich, but you can't get it just anywhere because it's only grown on the Big Island, and you have to be careful because you can find, at least around here in my part of Texas, you can find grocery store coffee that'll say Kona coffee, but you look on the back and it's like 10% real Kona coffee. And so getting it straight from the suppliers works out better. But yes, I love a good coffee, but I always put cream in it. I'd never put sugar in it.
Oh, Cynthia says she bought Kona coffee when we were there because we were there together, and she brought it home with her on the plane, and she likes the coffee strong with nothing in it. Wow.
Atta girl, Cynthia.
No, I find when I drink coffee just straight with nothing in it, that's like being mean to myself. And I'm not, I don't know. No, I like that. Oh, there's Phyllis LaBrandy. I just saw Phyllis not too long ago on that Long Island trip. Yeah, no, I have like rules and I was at a barbecue yesterday and it was my sister-in-law's birthday. And see, I make it widely known that I don't cook. And actually I kind of can.
Right.
But they didn't ask me to bring anything because everybody's like, well,
there's a method to your madness here.
Yes. And matter of fact, when I leave, see, that's like an hour and a half from my house here. That's where I grew up, an hour and a half away. I time it. See, I want to get past when you're getting cake because I want cake, but I want to be before they start cleaning up. See, there's a sweet spot there. That's when I'm leaving. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I love to cook. I I will experiment. I will try things, and my daughters will sometimes ask me, "What's the recipe for that?" And I'll go, "I have no idea. It's whatever I had at the time." And so, but I do love to cook, and I uh, I probably should cook more than I do. So
Now the kid's been cooking some. We got the Hello Fresh thing, so the kid could cook some. He's decided he's pescatarian, which right. When you're didn't you go through this when your kids were younger? But we've had everything coming down the pike, the theater thing, the different languages thing. We did
right.
Chinese for a while, and then now we're doing pescatarian, right? So it's which means you can eat fish but no land meat.
Okay. Well, I love fish, so
So
I would
yeah.
love the fish part, but I don't know that I would give up the land meat part because the in my case, I don't eat sugar and I don't eat flour anymore. And well, let's just say very rarely will I eat sugar or will I eat flour. And I did that for health reasons. And
Oh
the
yeah.
doctor said you're about to get your blood numbers up to certain levels you don't want to be. And I said okay, and so I changed it, and I've lost in the last, I guess probably what's this? This is September. The last 9 months. I've lost 21
Wow.
pounds roughly, and my blood numbers came back in line, and it's basically from cutting out sugar and flour.
Well,
Now,
that's
for
awesome.
everyone on the recording, I am not a doctor. Don't follow my advice thinking that I am. Excuse me.
No, we've been yeah. The thing is, I'm trying to be supportive. That's why I went to Broadway and watched Hamilton 4 times. All this stuff because the kid, and it's
Right.
actually been awesome because it's opened my eyes to a lot of things that I never would have dealt with at all, including the whole pescatarian thing. But I'll tell you what, when I just was down in Long Island, I'm like, "Where's the steak? Where's something we haven't?" Because if I have something like that in front of the kid, he like shames me. And I'm like, he's like, "Don't you think that cow had feelings?" I'm like, "The fish did too." You know what I mean?
Well, I had not heard the term pescatarian like that, but I'll tell you, Belle would have gotten that immediately because she lived in Italy for a while, and that's got to be based on the Italian word that you'll see on the menus for fish in Italian. It's I'm not sure I would say it right, but it has that pesca something to it,
Yeah.
And so Belle would have picked up on that immediately.
Yeah. Well, and that is funny that Bob goes, "You are Belle," and I'm like, "Ooh, I wish." It's like Belle's the Snapchat version of me. Is that not right?
Let's just say there's some of both of us in all the characters, and
Oh, I
but
love
yes,
that.
the Belle is definitely someone who you and she would relate extremely well. Let's just leave it at that. Make everybody read it.
And there's Judy Thompson. Matter of fact, I don't know if you got to see Judy, but I was meeting with Judy and her husband. We were sitting in the lobby before you came down, before you got there.
Oh, cool.
So she
I
was,
don't remember for sure, but because
yeah.
I was going back and forth with the parking attendant.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was interesting.
It was.
Yeah, because I conned him into dropping me off at the airport. That's what happened.
I
I
was
was
because I had
supposed
to do it.
to I was supposed to Uber. I'm like, "Do you think you'd mind?"
Gave us more time to visit too. That was good.
Yes, we have, and you don't drive like a maniac, which is awesome.
No,
Yeah.
I drive. Well, I was about to say I drive like a man the age I am, but I probably drive faster than that.
Oh, you said something like you thought I was younger than I am. You know we're close, right?
No, we
Yeah.
can't be that close. I'll be 63 this month.
I'll be 60 in February.
Really? Well, you've done well.
Tell me you thought I was a lot younger.
I did. I thought you were in your early 50s, actually. But
You
I'll
think
tell
I
you,
will?
I'm going to teach you a lesson I learned years ago right now.
Don't tell anybody. Go ahead.
I started this when I was in my 40s. If you're going to ever lie about your age, always say you're older than you are. Like right now, if
Oh,
I tell anybody my age now, I'd say I'm 83. And they'll look at me kind of funny. And I'll say, well, look, if you're going to lie about your age, say you're older. Because for 63, I might look all right. But for 83, I'm kind of a stud. I'm just saying. And I started that in my 40s.
that's spectacular for 80.
Well, I started that in my 40s, and I would say I was in my 50s. Well, now I'm up to saying I'm in my 80s, so I can't get away with it as easily anymore.
Oh, Yeah, I don't know if you heard this part before, but I wasn't doing my hair. If you saw the video the other day, you'll notice I was perming my hair for decades because I don't know. Right. Um, but when I adopted my son, Alex, and I came home and I wasn't sure that was all going to happen. So I hadn't bought a bunch of stuff ahead.
Right.
And I went down to Baby Depot like the second day and I had this big giant cart full of stuff. And it didn't end up being stuff I could use, but I didn't know. And I go up to the cashier and she said, "Oh, is this your first grandchild?" Well, on the ride home, I called the hairdresser. I'm like, "Hey, listen, we have got to do the color." And she said, "You can't do both the perm and the color." Then we're doing the color because I am not grandma. So, but I've actually had all the whole way the kid's been coming up. I get away with them thinking I'm younger because the kid's young,
Yeah.
I guess. So,
Well, both of my daughters are now grown, married, and have children of their own. So I have 3 grandchildren, and I will tell you, my daughters have always been such a blessing, and they're gorgeous, and their children are gorgeous, and it just makes my world so cool. But this morning we were texting because there's a family trait that comes from me to them, and it's this big cowlick in the front.
oh,
And my oldest daughter has it definitely. The youngest one, not quite as much. But my youngest daughter's son looks just exactly like I did at the same age. It's crazy. And
oh,
I sent a
that's
picture
cute.
today, and I was probably, oh, I don't know. I was older than him, and I said, "This looks so Jude," and they all said yes.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, Cynthia said you and her are the same age. I didn't know you were older than me, Cynthia. I'm sadly very excited about that. I'm like happy when anyone's older than me now.
I'm just glad to still be kicking. That's all I'll say.
All right. Oh, so that's awesome. Oh, Estelle said people go nuts with me in a car since I drive on the slower end. Oh, yeah, but slower is better than faster. No,
As long
matter
as
of
you're in
fact,
the right lane for it.
in Long Island. Oh, we were riding with Laura's boyfriend, and he was driving like 90. And I didn't mean to, but I said a bunch of swears like a sailor. Well, me and Skull were a couple glasses of wine in, so I lost my filter at all, and they were all laughing. But I'm like,
Filter? Wait. Filter? What?
I guess I don't ever have one, but I like to think that I sometimes do. But
Oh, you mean it in the best possible way. So.
bless your heart, yeah. But I'm not riding with him ever again, and I guess I wanted to know if I was going to ever ride with you again, but you passed muster there.
Well, San Antonio is actually easier to drive in too. You get in the Houston traffic, and they can be very nuts. And Austin traffic isn't quite as nuts, but it's very slow. Not very slow. It will bog down a lot. So I always say that Houston is more spread out, and the drivers take the term driving as an athletic sport. So you better be ready. But people tend to be just fine.
Now, Phyllis was at the Long Island thing that I was at, but she didn't ride in the car with Chuck. It was Chuck Andretti, is what I'm calling him. And if anybody doesn't recognize the Andretti name, you're too young to be on this call. Leave now. No.
I tend to drive more often than I ride with someone else because when someone else is driving, especially if it's a long trip, I can't fall asleep. And it's like I don't trust their driving. I can only fall asleep when I'm driving because I know I'm a good driver.
Because you could. Oh, that was good. Because you could trust yourself. Yeah.
I trust my
good.
driving. I can fall right to sleep.
Oh, yeah, Phyllis, you should have been with us. So it was me and Scola and Mullins in the back seat. We call each other last names like we're in the military together for some reason. So it was me and Scola and Mullins. And Laura was in the front seat. And Laura and Chuck are boyfriend and girlfriend, but they were bickering the whole time. It was hilarious. And at one point I said, "Thank you. Thank you for reaffirming my good decision to stay single. I appreciate that more than you know." But when I say that to someone, they never think it's funny because they're bickering. But I don't know. They were doing directions or something. But when we got to the restaurant, "Oh, Phyllis, next time you'll drive." "Well, I'm not riding with Chuck, so that would be awesome." And Chuck was mad because I was like saying something about his driving. So
Well,
he go ahead and drive himself because. But on the at the dinner, we were just sitting there talking about the fact we are going to have to ride back to the hotel with Chuck, and but then we had another couple glasses of wine and then forgot about it and decided to go to Dairy Queen, which
Dairy Queen is my choice after a good wine every time. So
when I have, oh, what's your favorite there at Dairy Queen?
with me, I haven't done it in a long time because I'm doing no sugar, but it's been the small cone dipped in the chocolate where it's got the hard shell around it.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a small M&M Blizzard.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was good too. I like to watch him to hold the cup upside down. That's a marketing thing that I appreciate. So that is awesome. So okay. Oh, you know what? Speaking of Hawaiian stuff here,
Mhm.
we talked about this early on, and you said something to me about I'm going to be the one reading for the audio version. And I was all happy about that because I've done a lot of stuff, including radio and all that. And
Right.
I feel like I can do that. And then it dawned on me like 2 days ago about the 20 or so Hawaiian words.
I'll help you.
Okay. Because I'm thinking, really? I'm not even sure. Is it Poipu?
Poipu.
Poipu. I got
Yes.
that one right. The name of the beach, the famous
Correct.
beach. Okay. So you've been to Poipu, I take
Many
it.
times. Yeah, I used to own a timeshare. My wife and I used to own a timeshare there, and so we would go stay in that area a lot. And Poipu Beach it is literally, gosh, if it's not my favorite beach I've been on, maybe Aruba's a little bit better, but boy, it's just awesome, and the people there are so lovely. They're just wonderful people, and it's a very good experience. So
Well, tell me more about the beach because I'm a visual. I like to think
the
about.
the beach is kind of a reddish yellow. It's not like some of the Hawaii beaches are very red. This is not that. It's somewhere between what you would see maybe in Florida with the white sandy beaches and in between the two on the red and the white. But one of the things that always stood out to me was if you got out there early, they would have it looked like crime scene tape out in certain areas. And what it was, the sea turtles would come up and they would burrow down, lay their eggs, and then go back out. And so that was the nesting thing that was going on.
Oh,
And so
and
it
they had
was
the crime scene take so you didn't step on them by
so you
mistake.
didn't go in that area. Yeah, they were
Oh,
protecting the turtles.
nice. Now, is it sandy so you can go in the water and not
Yes.
step on stuff? Because that
Yeah.
used to, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you can
lived on.
definitely go on out in the water. You'll see people surfing there. The
Oh,
waves aren't huge, so yeah, you'll see a lot of beginner surfers there. So kooks, as they're called, but
and Betty's. Don't
yeah,
forget Betty's.
that's all right. But shh.
Right. Sorry, that was a sneaky thing I just snuck in.
I love it.
Sorry.
But the food around there is just awesome. And Kauai it's considered the Garden Island. It's where they shot a lot of the Jurassic Park movie scenes, and it's just a very wonderful thing. And I had a lot of great experiences there. So.
The over there, my favorite though is off the coast of Maui, Lanai, because of the cat sanctuary.
Oh wow!
I,
So I've
I
not been there.
oh I you don't know me well enough to know that I'm a cat fanatic. I mean, that was my first word as a little kid.
So the next book has to be said, The Crazy Cat Lady.
we prefer cat fanatic. But I'm a little much. I'm actually 2 cats above my 3-cat limit. I did have a rule about that, but that got shot, right? So I've 5 cats at the moment.
Being
Right.
a Southern boy, I thought you were about to talk about drinking too much. I was 2 cats above my limit, and I grew up in a different area of the country. I'm just going to say.
Oh, I spent some time down south.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of how it goes. Yeah, I told you this before, but if you break down in your car up here, you got to have some kind of plan. Remember, I introduced you to AAA.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hammer, because you got to have a plan. And my plan was always you hike up the hood on the car and
Mhm.
you just stand there with the hammer looking at the engine. You don't have to hit it. You just look at the engine. And the good old boys can't stand that. They're like, don't touch
Don't hurt
anything.
it. Don't hurt it.
Don't hurt it. I'll take care of it. But down south, if I got stuck, and I lived down south for like 2.5, 3 years, the first time it happened, it was funny because I was just trying to fit in,
Mhm.
and I was just trying not to have my accent from up here. And a bunch of people stopped, and the ones that end up helping me, then they invite you to their house to have jambalaya afterwards. This is in Mississippi, and then
Mhm.
we had to shoot guns out back. Luckily, I knew how to do that, but it was like a whole different thing. You were part of the family after that because they helped fix your car.
That's right.
Yeah, and up here, not so much, really.
Yeah, the stories I could tell about things that I've done like that would probably
Oh,
be too much for the audience. So
no!
I'll tell it. I'll tell this easy one. I
Please.
was my grandmother on my father's side, Granny West is what we called her. She had a habit of when she would start talking, she would just kind of keep going and going and going, and sometimes as a little boy, or teenage boy, I would not necessarily be paying attention. All right, I'll leave it at that. One Saturday morning, she called and she said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Well, Granny, you called me at home. You know where I am." She said, "Well, you told me you'd be here at 8 o'clock this morning." I said, "Why did I tell you that?" She said, "Last week when we were talking, I said, would you come over to my rental property and dig a new outhouse hole for the rental property?" You said, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Granny, I'll be there as soon as I can."
Because you were afraid of her.
I wasn't afraid of her. I loved her, but
No.
I just hadn't been paying attention. My dad told me one time he was sitting on the front porch. She was in the house talking. He was a teenager. He walked to town, which was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles, something like that. He said, "I had a Coke. I played a couple of games of pool. I walked back home. I sat back on the front porch, and she had never realized I had left."
Oh.
So I get my gift of gab or whatever naturally. It's in my genetics. So.
No, see, that's where communication you're saying you loved her, but see, in my family, fear is love. That's yeah. See, my mother may seem like she's old and frail, but I'm afraid of her too. Yeah. Right, yeah. No, she would beat me in a minute with that cane. You know what? They have a thing you put on the end of the cane that has little spikes in it for winter.
Wow.
She doesn't take it off.
I had it easier than that, I guess.
She only did beat me once. Right, only one time, and it wasn't even that bad. I know I told you this one is that my brother taught me a rhyme that was bad, and I didn't know it was bad, and I was a little kid. My mother slapped me, and she must have just been having a bad day, but it worked out great because then she threatened me with slapping after that. So anyway, the rhyme was, "See my finger, see my thumb, see my peace sign -1."
Oh, gosh.
So my brother taught me that, right? And
Oh,
I said it
wow.
to my mother, and she slapped me on the face. The only time she's ever hit me, I think, ever. So she must have been having a bad day. But see, it worked out because from then on, she just would say she doesn't still. If I'm sitting with her on the porch of the retirement home and I say something she doesn't like, she'll look me square in the eye and she said, "Keep it up. You know what'll happen." That's what and
Well,
I am still afraid of her, and I think people that aren't afraid of her are crazy.
well, since your brother taught you that rhyme, I have to tell you, my youngest daughter, when she was 2 or 3, I can't remember the exact age, the neighbor kids got her playing a rhyming game, and she said a bad word. She said the F word, and they said, "Oh, you're going to be in trouble." And they had her in tears, thinking she was going to be in trouble.
Oh,
And when I got
no.
home that afternoon, uh, I was being told about it, and she was crying. And
Oh,
I
no.
said, "Whit," I said, "Did you know that was a bad word you weren't supposed to say?" She said, "No." And I said, "You're not in any trouble with me whatsoever." I said, "But let's don't say that anymore." And she said, "Okay, Daddy." I'm thinking that's the end of it. We go to church that next Sunday. And during the actual sermon part, children her age were in the children's area. And so I go back to get her after it's over. And one of my friends at church had said, "Jeff, I need to talk to you." And I said, "What's it about?" And he said, "Well, Whitney said something bad in the children's group this morning. I said, oh no. I said, tell me what she said. And she had come up to him. She said, Mr. Martin, got his attention. She said, I'm not allowed to say anymore. And as God is my witness, I looked him straight in the eye and I said, well, Martin, she's not. And I turned around and walked off.
Oh, no.
True story.
Oh, that's pretty good.
She was so sweet and so innocent. She had no clue. And I just thought it was hilarious that she told him that.
No. And, as an adult lately, that's been like my favorite word. That's so horrible, isn't it? But it's so utilitarian. It can be like a noun and a verb and descriptive. I know. Right.
This has not gone the way I thought this hour would go, but this is good. Hey, if you want a behind the scenes look at the people who put together the lady with the blue hair, you're getting it. You're getting it.
Oh, and you know what, everybody? I was saying this on the Go Giver call. We're going to do actually a weekly challenge in the Go Giver network about collaborating, because what if I'd said no? I'd have been passing up this awesome experience. I mean, if nothing else. And what if you hadn't even decided to say, hey, do you want to do this?
Right.
Just because I was so different. You might have thought, well, she's just an Avon rep. Yeah.
I never think that about anyone.
Well, no, but if you were a different person, you might have. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It definitely is making a difference for the two of us. But I tell you, I really believe in my heart, this book's going to help a whole lot of people. It's going to change a lot of things for a lot of people. Just the perspective. I was thinking, because you and I know this, 30 something years ago, I was in a multi-level, and the things that made people succeed are the same things that we put in this book. It's the same thing that makes you succeed in direct sales. It makes you succeed anytime you're working for yourself. It's the the things that work. And I got to thinking about how many people in those arenas that when they get this book, especially if it's early on in their career, that's how big of a difference it's going to make. And so I am just, you're right. Things, when you look backwards and you understand moments and how they can change things, this is a good moment. And everything about this for me has just been wonderful. And I see Cynthia said she's a Southern girl. Cynthia, type where you're from in there when you get a chance. But this has been it's been a real blessing to me.
Can I drop one of the rules?
Sure. Absolutely.
My people are going to know this one anyway.
Right.
Matter of fact, when we had the pre-readers doing endorsements and stuff, the ones I was actually excited and happy that they recognized me in the book were Angie Rossi and John Fleming, who the Avon tribe, they all know them too.
Right.
And they were so saying stuff like, oh, I saw you all over them. And I was so thrilled that they did, because we haven't interacted with them for quite a few years. And the fact that they remember so many of these little details made it thrilling. But anyway, the rule that I wanted to say, and you can put in the comments if you know this one, it's the wood stove rule. I've done this at work forever and ever. And It was, the reason I came up with that is because of where I live. When I lived in the trailer park, the single wide, for 18 years, we only produced heat with the little parlor stove that we found on the side of the road. And looking back, that was because Mountain Man wanted to live off the land, and I didn't know that. He said it was going to be expensive to repair the furnace, and guess how much that ended up being, because we had to repair it to sell it.
How much?
$100. I lugged wood and fought with that wood stove for 18 years over $100. Anyway, but the wood stove rule, that seems such an obvious thing, because people would always say to me about my direct sales business, they'd say, you know what, I'll invest in some brochures, or I'll invest in an ad in the paper once I start getting paid more.
Right.
And I'd be like, wouldn't that be awesome? But you have to put the wood in before you get the heat out. The wood stove works exactly like that. And people understood that story right away when I started using it. That was one of the first rules I wrote down when you asked me for the rules.
Right. I would have a hard time picking a favorite. Yeah, I remember when John David Mann and Anna Gabriel Mann were doing all the podcasts and launching the Go Giver Marriage. They were always asked, what's your favorite principle? What's your favorite thing in the book? And I got to thinking, you and I, as we'll be lining up the podcast for the launch for this book, we're going to get that question. And I go back and forth. Okay, I don't know if I can pick one because it's tough, but probably for me, it would be the naughty rule, maybe. If
Oh,
it's not the naughty rule, it's the one right. It's the
I
other one
I
that's
know
similar. And
which
I'm just
one
going to
you.
leave that. I'm going to let them read that.
I know which one you. Because I didn't even think, matter of fact, you'll all have to figure this out after you read it. I didn't think that one was going to fit in the story,
Oh,
and then it fits perfect.
it does.
Yeah.
And we even used a little humor after the fact. That rule in and of itself is hilarious. And when you said it to me when we were going back and forth when we were having our visits about the book, I just started laughing, and it was uncontrollable. And so it's got its own humor in the rule itself. But the other part of it is when Kai begins to develop her business, and then she has to teach Derek.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But
I'm rereading for like the 4th time here as a whole piece.
Right.
Because I'm looking, of course, for little things that I can do in the group.
Right.
But yeah, that's it. So I'm seeing all this stuff again, and it's fun. So
by the way, you're doing an awesome job in that group. I can't commend you enough. And everybody watching this, regardless of where you're seeing this, go to Facebook and join the group for Team Blue. Lisa's put together just an awesome way that we can communicate with people leading up to the launch. And we would just love to have you join us. And we're going to do special things for that group that don't go out just everywhere. So join us. Lisa, well, I help a little bit when I throw things in, but this is the magic of Lisa Wilber.
Well, yeah, see, we each have our little spot, though, because you are a writer extraordinaire. And marketing is my thing. That's what I think. And I'll give, okay, now for the sneak peeks, the big reveals. Okay, I've got one too that I don't think you know, believe it or not. But let's do the big one that we already promised. Right. I was going to share a screen, but I'm not confident I could do that. So I printed it out just in case. Okay, the book cover. Are you ready? Here we go. Here's the book cover right here. And I am going
to have to back it up just a hair.
Back it out just a hair. Hard to see.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's an awesome book cover, and it's designed by an absolute genius.
It's designed by Alex Wilber, and Alex, he's decided he likes Alex M. Wilber, and Alex has 2 X's. So for all of you that know that, but what a great job he did. And I am going to post this in the group right after we get off here.
Right.
That way, that way everybody will be able to see it at once. And we're going to have more content from him too, so you can get to know him a little bit better as an artist.
I can't brag on him enough on that. His composition of the idea was great, and he understood where I mentally was and what you mentally wanted, and then it was awesome. I see Cynthia posted a question. My grandmother's name was Lou Addy. So
Lou Addy. Oh, now that's Southern.
That is definitely Southern.
That is Southern.
I had one grandmother named Lou Addy West and another grandmother named Inez Ellen Foster. My sister got the name of Lou Ellen, and she used to not necessarily like that combination. And I said, hey, don't complain. It could have been Inez Addy. Back to control. I'm going to let you lead on because I know you're trying to get some things done.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So we have a couple other reveals. Okay, the reveal I don't think you know, and I'm not sure if I told you, is I have some of these that I'm going to be randomly sending out to our Team Blue members. So you'll have to look and see. I know some of you already have randomly got brownies. Some of you have randomly got some other things in the mail, cards, because of content that we put up there. And some of you are randomly going to get, this is a silicone bracelet. This happens to be, this isn't the one. This is an example of one, but we have some coming that are blue that have the name of the book and our names on it. So some of you are going to get these in the mail randomly. So make sure you go on the group page and interact so that I see you, because that's how I randomly send stuff to people. And we do have some dates for you. Are you
We do.
ready?
We do.
You do the pre, I need some glasses for this. Okay. Okay.
We're going to start pre-sales. We've agreed to start November 1st, and the book release will be December 1st. We've set a
Oh, and
date
I
on
was going to do another pair of glasses for the book release.
Oh,
You
sorry.
didn't wait quick enough. Okay. Here
There we go. Hey, now those are perfect.
Aren't these nice? Yeah, these are nice. And it's between them and my SpongeBob glasses, which I also love.
Yeah,
See,
that's awesome.
Yeah, or there's one more. Okay, because I'm the captain.
I love it. Captain Platinum.
Yeah, it's a self-appointed title, but still. Yeah, that's it. So there are going to be special perks for people at pre-order starting November 1st. So mark your calendars. You probably won't need to mark them much because I'll be making a big deal about it. I'm hoping you'll have a hard time missing it.
And we're going to start an email list too. Lisa and I were talking about that earlier. Right now, the best thing would be to join the Facebook group and follow what's going on there. But we're going to start an email distribution list because those of you, there's been over 600 people now who want to be part of the launch. And that's just amazingly wonderful. And we thank you all so much for that. But we'll start an email list because there's going to be some things when we get into the deep part of the launch. We're going to do some special things for people who are helping us spread the word that hopefully you'll find extremely fun and extremely valuable. And we're going to do our best to make it where it's just not some dull book launch. We want to make it happy.
Yeah, and fun. We don't want, it's not going to be a one-sided thing. And I think that's what, in my heart, that's what I wanted, is for us all to do this together, not just for me to come on there and say, please do this for us.
Right.
I want it to be valuable for everybody and everybody to have fun and look back on this and say, I was part of something awesome.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping for.
One of my favorite things you've done so far, Lisa, too, is when we've gotten in endorsements, and we've gotten some endorsements from some wonderful people that they're saying such good things about the book, and it's in what you've done by creating the graphics where you've got their picture and you've got information about them so people can find out more about them too. And then their endorsement, Lisa, that's one of the best ideas I have ever seen on any book launch. So I thank you for that.
Ooh. Well, and you haven't seen all of it yet because for all the people that we do stuff together all the time, Shuffle's one of my favorite apps for my phone, and I'm making a shuffle card for this. So all of those endorsements are going to be on the product carousel, and you'll be able to touch the endorsement and go to the endorser's website.
Great. That's awesome.
So that's going to be, and you'll be able to touch the book cover and order the book. So it's going to be an all-encompassing shuffle card. And I know many of you on here do shuffle with me, and it's just awesome, that tool. It's going to be so easy to have all of our videos. Matter of fact, this video will be on the shuffle card as well, because I can put endless numbers of YouTube video links on there as well. Good. So it's going to be an awesome resource for us to use together. So
I just saw someone had posted that they're recovering from COVID and needed this call so bad. We'll keep good thoughts out for you. I'm glad you're here. So.
Yes, and thank you everybody for coming back. I do have a guest for next week, and it's Robert Peterson, and he was also a past guest. Matter of fact, I'm thinking of having all the past guests back. You know why? Because this has been more fun now that we know each other a lot better.
Absolutely.
And I think it will be with him too. I'm also working on a book project with him, but it's one of those, we call it something different, an anthology book where each of us write a chapter.
Right.
So that's a little bit different, and it's more of an instruction kind of book.
Our friend Shell Vera was just involved in one of those too, and I was watching their launch, and I kind of I attended their video session they did with that, but that's a good thing. So.
Yeah, you should do it. You haven't done any of those yet? Because those are fun.
Not yet.
I've done a bunch. My favorite one that I did was with, of course, Les Brown, and I think it was Jack Canfield running it. So I got to say I did a book with them.
Absolutely.
That was fun, but
absolutely.
Oh, so I guess we're at the end already. This went quick.
It did.
Oh, are you at the library?
I am. For those of you who don't know, I lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for about 15 years, and then I moved to the Houston area, and about 5 years ago, decided we needed to escape Houston. And so my wife and I bought I call it a ranch, she calls it a farm, but about 35 acres that are situated about halfway between Houston and Austin. and they're not near any real town, well, any big town. And so what I do is I drive about 20 minutes to the town of Giddings, Texas. That's where I do all my Zoom calls, and when I'm on different sales shows, this is where I come. And Giddings is a town of about 6,000 people with an absolutely wonderful set of people who run the library. These ladies here that run the library are awesome, and they let me have space to do whatever I need to do, and they treat me like I'm gold, and I try to return the favor. So.
Oh, that's so awesome. And
It-
matter of fact, somebody said, I'm so excited. I cannot wait for this to come out. Do we have a date yet? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Starting November 1st, you can pre-order.
Right.
And then starting December 1st, it'll be released.
Right.
So you'll be able to have your hands on the book a little after December. And the plan is that you'll have your choice of format by then.
Right.
So
We've definitely already got the paperback. We've already got the e-reader. We will be working on the audio book.
The audio with the 20 Hawaiian words that I poi poo.
Poi poo. This the thing about the Hawaiian language is you pronounce every letter. Not everybody knows that you literally pronounce every letter, and they always sound the same. It's like it's Hawaii. When you hear the local say, they'll say Hawaii, and you'll hear that second little dot in there.
Now, see how I did it when I lived down there is I just acted confident no matter what I said, and they thought I was saying it right.
Well,
see,
I live in Texas now, so I think I can speak all kinds of languages. We talk about Spanglish here because try to mix the two. And then I was traveling in Italy a few years back, and I used to tell everybody that I could speak part French because I had been in Paris the week before, part Italian, and part Spanish. I called it Spanglishwa. And then I changed it to Spanglishwaiano.
Oh, that's good. That's almost as good as braggadocious. That I'm going to need shirts for this, really, or at least coffee cups.
There we go.
Yeah. So, Facebook user, which you didn't give approval, so I'm not seeing your name. I'm sorry. Said Amazon, yes, Amazon and everywhere else we can.
We'll load it to multiple platforms, and we'll even have just a link where if I may be getting us writer's cramp here, but if you want signed copies, Lisa and I are even willing to do that a little bit different way for you. So.
Matter of fact, we're going to do, and I'm saying this, and I didn't get approval for this comment from Jeff.
You're using one of the rules, aren't you?
I know. You must sit back there and go, I don't remember us talking about this like every day about something.
That's okay.
Okay. So, no, but we want to include Alex in this. So there will be a certain number of copies that will have all three of us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because he's all excited to be part of this too. Well, this is his first big project, and he learned how to take feedback from a customer. Right. And to adjust his artwork, because that was a hump we had to overcome, because artists don't usually have to do that. You know what I mean? Right. He's used to just be happy about my art. I'm an artist. Right. And I'm like, well, paying customers, it ain't like that, honey bun.
Well, John David Mann and I were talking about anything you create, whether it's you're writing music, which I've done, whether you're writing a book, where in Alex's case about creating the artwork, it feels different. It feels like it's your child. And so if someone says, well, that's not exactly the way I want it, you go, wait, that's my kid you're talking about. No.
Right. Well, that's how he feels about it too. But I had to say, we listen to the customer when we're doing something like this. It's, the vision of the people. Anyway, Rebecca, the thing in StreamYard is you have to verify that you want to use their name, but I'm glad you wrote your name there instead. So thank you, Rebecca, for coming on. Rebecca just had us do her circle profile picture update.
Very good.
And if you're watching this and don't have one yet, let me know and I'll make one for you. Marie said, Alex would probably help me say the Hawaiian words, right? I was pretty happy with myself with the whole poi poo thing, but
you did it exactly correct.
I've been practicing in one of the rereads. I'm sitting here in the house and no one home reading out loud to myself. The dog thinks I'm nuts, but that's all right. Anyway, we'll wrap this up for today. We're going to have more lives for just us for the book launch group. It won't necessarily be on Monday Morning Madness, but make sure you come back for next Monday when I have Robert Peterson.
Very
And
cool.
thank you so much, Mr. Jeff. I will be putting this up to YouTube and let everybody enjoy it. And I thank you so much. So stay right there a minute. We'll go back to the green room.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.